Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're joining me in this 5-day challenge to kickstart your keyboard playing. Learning to play this instrument has changed my life in so many ways that it makes me excited to teach it to others like you. As a very private and introverted individual, it's given me a way to express myself and let out any frustrations I may have, anxieties I may have, and of course, the joy that I also experience. It's certainly a great tool to have in your toolbox, definitely cheaper than any therapy out there. I won't digress. I know you're already here because you want to learn to play the keyboard. So in this first video, we will start with the basics, such as naming our fingers, finding out the names of the keys on the keyboard, and finally learning how to play the major and minor chords with your right hand. And of course, you will play a song to apply what you've learned so that you can retain it. So let's get to it. Let's identify our fingers so that we can easily learn how to use them. So for your finger 1, that would be your thumb. For your pointer finger, that's your finger 2. Your middle finger is finger 3. Your ring finger is finger 4. And your pinky is finger 5, and it applies to both hands. To help us learn how to play the keys, we have to name them to make it easier for us to know what we're doing. So for your white keys, if you look at my screen right here, I have a set of 2 black keys and a set of 3 black keys. The white key that is before your 2 black keys is always a C. And from there, you would go on up the alphabet until you reach G, where you would start back to the letter A of the alphabet. So again, your musical alphabet goes from A to G, but when we start studying how to play the keyboard, we always start with the C, which is the white key in front of your 2 black keys. So every white key in front of the 2 black keys is always going to be a C. In order to easily remember how to play the keyboard, we have to name our keys. Now, musical names start from A to G, but when we actually study them, we start with the C, which is the white note before the 2 black keys. And as we go up, they go up according to the alphabet and then change back to A once we get to the G. So this is the C, D, E, F is your white key before the 3 black keys, G. Okay, again, once you get to G, you start right back up to A, B, C. So again, there's only 7 notes here. The 8th is the same as your first one. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Let's talk about pitches on the keyboard. We always use what is called a middle C as your reference point. That is the C that is closest to the middle of the keyboard that you're using for playing. There's terms in music where you say, let's go up, let's go down. When we say we're going up, that means we're going higher in pitch, which means we're going towards the right of the keyboard. When we say that we're going down, that means we're going lower in pitch, therefore going towards the left of the keyboard. If you've ever played any of the notes just randomly on your keyboard, you will notice that the ones on the left are lower in pitch, the ones on the right are higher in pitch. So again, our reference point is the middle C, which is your C that is closest to the middle of your keyboard. Based on that knowledge, we can determine what are called sharps and flats. Because on the keyboard, we take what is called half steps and whole steps. A half step up is your sharp. So a half step going up means going to your right is a sharp. That is the very next note to the right of the note you're coming from. So for instance, if you're coming from C, a half step up from C, which would be the very next note to the right of it, is your C sharp. A half step up from C sharp is your D. A half step up from D is going to be a D sharp. A half step up from D sharp is going to be an E. Now notice we don't have a black key between E and F. So a half step up from E is going to be your F natural. Okay, and then up from F, a half step is going to be your F sharp. A half step up from F sharp is G. A half step up from G is G sharp. From G sharp it will be an A. And A going up, a half a step will be an A sharp. A half step up from A sharp will be a B. And if you notice on your keyboard, you also don't have a black key between your B and your C. So a half step up from B will be a C. Now let's talk about going down half a step. If you want to go down half a step, that's called a flat. And that will be the very next note to the left of the note you're coming from. So for instance, if we're coming from B, a half step down will be a B flat. A half step down from that, it will be an A. From there, it'll become an A flat. A half step down from A flat will be a G. Half step down from G is a G flat. And G flat will go to F. Again, there's no black key between the F and the E. So a half step down from F will be an E. A half step down from E is an E flat. From there, we go down half a step, that'll be a D. A half step down from D is a D flat. A half step down from D flat will be a C. And again, we don't have a black key between the C and the B, so a half step down from C will be the natural B. So from there, we can build on half steps, and we would go to whole steps. A whole step is 2 half steps, or in other words, you would skip a note to the right if you're going up, or to the left if you're going down. So you can either think of it as 2 half steps, or just basically skipping a note. So what does that look like? If you're coming from C, you have to skip the black key, that is C sharp. So a whole step from C will be a D. A whole step from D will be an E. A whole step from E will be an F sharp, because we have to skip F, right? From F sharp, it will be a G sharp. If you're coming from F, a whole step up will be a G, because you have to skip F sharp. A whole step up from G is an A. A whole step up from A is a B. A whole step up from G sharp is an A sharp. Now, if you're coming from B and you have to take a whole step, we have to skip C, so that will be a C sharp. Coming from C sharp, taking a whole step, we have to skip D. That'll bring us to D sharp. So for your major chords, we have a formula. From your root, which is your first note, you would take 2 whole steps to play your second note, and you will take a step and a half to play your third note, which essentially it is just a 1, 3, 5. So what do we mean by a chord? A chord is 3 notes played together. So we need 3 notes in a chord. And for your major chord, it'll be a 1, 3, 5 scale tone. You will just be playing fingers 1, 3, and 5, and notes 1, 3, and 5. So for C, you would have a C, an E, and a G. Again, that will be fingers 1, 3, and 5. So how do we get the E? We take 2 whole steps from C, and a step and a half from E will be a G. Now from that formula, let's derive the other majors. We've got a D major. From D, if you take 2 whole steps, you will get to F sharp. A step and a half from F sharp will be an A. So your D major consists of D, F sharp, and A. E major, 2 whole steps will be a G sharp. From there, you can take a step and a half, and that will bring you to B. So E, G sharp, B. F major will give you an F, A, C. Okay, and G major will give you G, B, and D. So 2 whole steps from G is a B. A step and a half from B is a D. A major, from A, 2 whole steps will be a C sharp. A step and a half will be an E. And then B major, from the white chords, the B major is the only one that has 2 black keys. 2 whole steps from B will be a D sharp, and a step and a half from that will be an F sharp. So that's something to watch out for. When you're playing the B major, make sure you're playing a D sharp and an F sharp with your B. Now, let's talk about minor chords. For our minor, the formula is opposite the major. So from your root, you'll take a step and a half and then 2 whole steps from there. So what does that look like? So for your scale tones, you will have a 1, a flat 3, and a regular 5, but you're still using fingers 1, 3, and 5. So for instance, for your C minor, instead of a C, E, G, you will have a C, E flat, G, because a step and a half from C is E flat. You're skipping 2 half steps. You're skipping C sharp, D. So that'll bring you to E flat. From E flat to take 2 whole steps. So that'll bring you to G. C, E flat, G. 1 flat 3 and a 5. And then D minor. From D, we take a step and a half. That'll bring us to F. 2 whole steps from that will bring us to A. D, F, A. E minor, our formula will give us an E, G, and B. So if your E major is an E, G sharp, B, to make it a minor, you will bring the G sharp down half a step. Therefore, you will have an E, G, B. F minor, we will have an F, A flat, C. Okay, so from F, you take a step and a half. That brings you to A flat. 2 whole steps from that brings you to C. And then G minor, step and a half will bring us to B flat. And 2 whole steps from there will bring us to D. So we have G, B flat, D for our G minor. A minor, a step and a half from A will bring us to C. So you're skipping 2 half steps. And 2 whole steps from C will bring us to E, A, C, E. If your B major has 2 sharps, if you make the 3 a flat, that'll leave us with 1 sharp note. So we will have a B, D, and an F sharp. All right, so let's do an exercise for the major and minor chords. So what you would do is play the major chord and their corresponding minor chord, referring to your worksheet. So let's do it from C to B. Let me demonstrate that in this video. Now we've talked about half steps and whole steps, and let me just demonstrate that one more time for you. If you're starting with C and you want to take a whole step up, meaning going to the right of the keyboard, we're going to skip this note, the black key, and go to D. Okay, if we want to take a half step from D, we will go right to the next note, which this happens to be a black key. Okay, so major chords. Our formula, we said, is from the root note, we take 2 whole steps and then 1.5 steps. So this makes our C major, our D major, E major, F major, G major, A major, and B major. Okay, those are the tonalities of 1, 3, 5. Again, C major, D, E, F, G, A, B, and back to C. Now, minor chords. Our minor, we said, is the opposite. From the root, we take a step and a half, and then from that, we take 2 whole steps. So for our C minor, we have a C, an E flat, and a G. So essentially, if you were coming from your C major, you just take your 3rd down half a step. So in other words, this is also called, in terms of tonalities, this is also called a 1, a flat 3, and a 5. This is your 1, this is your 5. Okay, so let's make all our major chords into minors. C major, C minor, D major, D minor, E major, E minor, F major, F minor, G major, G minor, A major, A minor, B, Notice there are 2 black keys in B, but when you make it a minor, there's only 1 left. Okay. So one more time. C major, C minor, D major, D minor, E major, E minor, F major, F minor, G major, G minor, A major, A minor, B major, B minor. And how I just did that is exactly how I want you to practice it. You say the major name and then the minor name. Okay, so let me do that one more time. C major, C minor, D major, D minor, E major, E minor, F major, F minor, G major, G minor, A major, A minor, B major, B minor. Now that you know how to play major and minor chords, you can start learning songs. And so for this class, we will learn Set a Fire. It has 3 chords, a C major, an F major, and an A minor. And each chord is only used for 1 measure, which means that you will play them for 4 beats before moving on to the next chord. So let me demonstrate. For the verse and the chorus, it's all the same progression. So we will start with a C, and I will count it for you. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, A minor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Chorus 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. As you can see, the chord progression for the verse and the chorus are the same. I only demonstrated once for each. Now it's your turn to try and play it. If you start struggling to play it as fast as I did, all you have to do is slow down, take your time, get used to switching chords, and then as you get comfortable doing that, that's when you would pick up your pace to the right tempo. Have fun!